Hi, my name is Brittany Abdelhad, Senior Implementation Project Manager. This year, as in years past, I have worked on the soft lab implementation for the hospital division. However, this year it was different than we've done in the past, is that in that soft lab went live the same day and the same time as ProTouch. Therefore, it caused our team to think a little bit outside the box in order to allow the successful implementation of lab at the same time as ProTouch, where lots of things had to work a little bit differently to ensure a successful go live for the building.
My name is Bryn Turner, Project Coordinator with Implementation Services. The application of risk packs accompanied the ProTouch rollout and dealt with the facility's radiology department. Beginning 6 weeks prior to go live, the implementations team partnered with development and clinical operations to assist in the transition to the new risk pack system. We provided on-site training the week before go live and supported the site throughout the conversion process.
RxConnect is the pharmacy system that we've implemented at 16 facilities this year in conjunction with ProTouch. It's an 8-week process that we go through working with the facility staff, the facility pharmacy staff. The implementation of RxConnect is a huge undertaking on site and complex. It involves the facility staff working a lot of long hours in conjunction with development here and implementation services on site. Every patient has to be entered into ProTouch in advance of the ProTouch and RxConnect go live, and then those orders have to be verified on those patients and maintained in both systems until the time that we go live.
Sure. I'm Scott Farnsworth, Corporate Director of Clinical Systems Development. I run the development team for ProTouch and for all of our internal clinical systems on the hospital side. Sure. This year we've implemented more systems than we ever have before. I believe the last year, the biggest year that we've had in the past was 8 systems, or 8 facilities. This year we did 20, which is a huge increase. That comes with its own set of challenges, and not only challenges with just the vast number of places that we've gone into, but also the fact that they're new facilities. They have a totally different culture than what our hospitals have had in the past. And with that culture comes new learning, new systems that they hadn't heard of, all the different systems that we had in the past. They didn't know the benefits or the pain points. So going into those environments had to be challenging. We felt some of those challenges, or you guys felt some of those challenges, and then and it was very beneficial for us to be brought on board to hear those also. Oftentimes with people that know of our systems or that have had our systems for a long period of time, people look past some of the difficulties within our systems, and so when you get that new, fresh perspective, we get to hear a lot of the things that we could be changing to benefit the user group in general and whole, and so it was very helpful to be able to hear that and for you guys to include us in those conversations. In certain markets we had users that didn't understand the power of our systems or didn't understand both the strengths and weaknesses, and so they'd bump against those weaknesses and kind of have some issues. And it wasn't through us that they learned of the strengths, it was through the training department and through the implementations team. And it takes a while to kind of gain the hearts and minds of people that the systems, while they don't always look as user-friendly as some of the newest systems on the market, they're tailored for our business. And that's very beneficial. So it's you guys out on the front line that has done that, that gets to educate them as to how the systems can help them in their daily lives and how it's been tailored for them for an LTAC market. Other than that, I'd say some of the other things that we ran into were when we ran across changes in scheduling. You know, we had so many facilities that came live this year, 20 facilities coming live, and oftentimes we would change one facility out for another, or timing from one to another, and that happens so frequently. And you gear up so many teams and bring up so many things to go live at a specific time, and then if that has to move or something else gets in its place, it becomes a real juggling act. So having somebody at the helm, having somebody know what's going on, and not just with the EMR, but with all of the ancillary systems and all of the financial systems, all of the enterprise systems, everything that needs to come on board to bring those people up. And that's just speaking of the software, that's just speaking of the systems that are in place, not to mention all the different business practices and all the other things that have to happen for those facilities to be successfully implemented or successfully brought online. So we felt those challenges as you guys did, and it was incredible to see a group or a department being able to manage the difficulty and kind of the juggling act with grace. So.
Okay, so let's cut it right there. So what other points do you have on there that we haven't addressed?
Well, the couple of the things that one of the things that we, and I think it's important to touch on because a lot of I don't know who the audience is, but we were invited down to the Houston market, and I don't know if calling out Houston is good or not, but we were invited down to the Houston market because some of the physicians had some real challenges with ProTouch. They had not seen the benefits nearly as much as they'd seen the negatives, and there was a fair amount of contention and pain points, and some of them were incredibly valid that we'd either heard before but hadn't heard them as plainly, or hadn't heard them before in the way that they were expressed. And we received an invite to go down and talk with them for a couple of days. We went down there and spoke with them, got some very clear understanding of what we were supposed to do, and or what they wanted in a software package, in an electronic medical record. Past that point, we came back here. We talked with the executive members on your team, and Steve Halley and Kathy Markham, and others also, and define some plans to first get out some very quick hits. Terry Kirko put together a couple of good plans of things that we could do within a couple of days to get the physicians the understanding that we're listening to them, and this is why it's beneficial to have teams internal to us that pay attention specifically to our users rather than just buying something off the shelf. And so we made those changes in a couple of days, sent them back out. And from my understanding, it was a huge hit with the physicians because they understood that we're willing to listen, we're willing to make those changes, and those changes are satisfiers in the field. So the fact that we were invited and that we were included in that discussion was huge for us. It's something that we don't get as much as we would like. Often we're in front of the computers more than in front of the end users. So very helpful. It was very good to be able to have that, to have the interaction. When I left, I had several people. I was one of the ones that got the opportunity to go down there and talk to them. I had several people say, "Oh, we're sorry that you got so beat up and everything." And to me, there wasn't a beat up about it. It was, we're talking to our end users, and we need to be able to listen to and respond to what their complaints are, what their challenges are. That's how we make our systems better. Sometimes it's not pleasant to hear, the your baby's ugly situation, but if you don't hear that, if you can't hear it plainly from the users, how can you ever fix it? And so being able to be included from the implementations team, having them bring us down and say, these are the complaints that we're hearing, what can we do to fix them? And then to get a priority list to say these would be most helpful, and for us to be able to be included in that, to say, well, these are the ones that we could quickly hit, get a base hit or two out there quick. I think it changes our view on what we need to be doing, and two, it changes the view of the field as to how responsive we are. And from my understanding, it really did change the view of those physicians out there.
Is there anything else on that?
One of the other things that we ran across this year, because of the new things that we're doing in ProTouch, we've brought on several new ProTouch developers, several new team members, and we don't bring those typically from the healthcare arena. Our analysts we do, but our developers often are brought from the world of the propeller heads, the geeks, and so they don't know our business nearly as well as they could. So we sit down and we teach them how our systems work and how our programming works. We are a proprietary world, and that's fantastic. But with the training that we give them, oftentimes they don't have a good understanding of what's going on in the field, how the users actually use our systems and why they use it, what they're doing, or why they're doing it. And so we had the training department approach us and say, we'd like to put on a training, basically a training regimen for your team if you'd like to participate. And it gave us the opportunity to put both our new developers and some of our old developers in there that don't get the opportunity to go out into the field as much. And so they got to sit with the training team for several days, listening to how they train in the field and ask questions of, well, why would a user do this, or at what point is a user doing that? And they came away with a huge amount of understanding as to why that is, why they're doing what they're doing and the benefits that our code can bring to the field. So very helpful.
Does it seem more beneficial as you bring in new developers to follow that?
It does. This year we did it with a larger group than we had done it with before. This is the second time we've done that. We'd done a training a couple of years ago and found it to be successful, and that's why the training team, I believe, had reapproached us with the idea. We'd done it with our old developers a few years ago and found it to be very successful. I sat in those classes, several of us sat in those classes, and got to ask a lot of really good questions. And also the training department got to ask us a lot of questions. You know, when you're out in the field and the field asks the training department, well, why does the code do this? And they're like, oh, I don't know, because it does. So as we were going through the individual screens, they had the opportunity to reflect back on the questions they'd been asked and ask us. And sometimes the answer is, we didn't know you didn't want it to, or we didn't know that there's a better way. So it's a good opportunity for feedback and for enhancements to our system. So last thing that I would that I wanted to touch on, or that I thought was important, was the fact that we have an internal development team here. We've got the team that develops for the hospital division, actually multiple teams. My teams develop for the hospital division, but those teams don't have a marketing arm. We don't have an advertising or a marketing team. We don't produce glossy slicks. We just build software to go out to the field. And so the only marketing team we have is the implementations team as they go out and implement it professionally, and then the training team as they train people on how to use these systems. And to a T, everybody that we hear, the feedback that we get from these from the field after training is that our systems are solid. Our systems do a very good job. And so we know that the marketing that we have, although it's not a marketing team, that those marketing efforts are going very, very well. We find the benefit of being an internal development team, the fact that we can change things in a way that other vendors would never change for Kindred. And sometimes that gets lost. And the benefit of being able to partner with the implementations team and the training team is that they don't lose that. They're always there to be able to say, if we need to make changes to the system, let's take it back to the development team and do that. And they're a very good feedback arm for us. So that's something that while we talk about all the systems that we bring live and all the people that we train, we don't talk about some of the softer things that we would use if we were truly just a software company, and we're not. But my team is, and so we need to have that marketing, the idea of what is our R&D, who are the people out in the field that can give us the feedback back, and who can push our information out to them, and that's for the most part you guys.
Well, I'm the Senior Director of Clinical Operations for the Southeast region, and this project involved 8 of my legacy Triumph facilities, and so I've been involved from the start at Clear Lake. It's been an amazing experience because it was a huge project, very ambitious to roll out. By the time it's over, we will have 8 of our former Triumph buildings that are up on ProTouch within 12 weeks, which is just incredible to me. So the thing that I think was most impressive to me was the precision of the team. I'm someone who loves to see efficiency, and I saw great efficiencies and planning that was just amazing. I found them to be flexible at the same time. We have different needs in different buildings. We started out at the largest building, Clear Lake, and the next rollout was also a large building as well. And I saw the team's willingness to adjust to the training needs of the facility, and in my opinion, adjust to the emotional needs of the building. That probably sounds strange, but these Triumph facilities have been through a lot in the last year. Being integrated into a completely new company, new processes, new policies, and it's almost like change shock, if you will. So rolling out an electronic medical record was a huge change for them. And I saw the willingness of the team to change out resources if needed to meet those emotional needs, not only educational but emotional needs. The thing that I loved was to see how these trainers build a team and really instill a sense of ownership and empowerment in the super users, so that we saw leaders rise up in each of these buildings, leaders who taking the charge to get physicians online with physician order entry, and it was just an amazing thing that happened here. And I'm going to miss, I think, all of the involvement that I've had with this implementation team, because I found every one of them to be completely supportive and so customer service focused. I mean, they actually live out what our customer service goals are, I think, as an organization, and trying to meet the needs of the customers, physicians, staff, regional needs. It's just been a very good experience for me.
I had a good experience with the training with ProTouch. Overall, it's a very easy system to use. I think it's very physician user friendly, and you're able to access information quickly and readily, so I think it'll all lead to better access to patient care. They also set us up with a remote portal, which we can download onto our laptop or an iPad or iPhone, so that that's very good for physicians in terms of being able to access their patient information when they're not in the hospital. I really enjoyed the ProTouch training. The training team was excellent. We had a training coordinator named Tony, and she was very friendly. You could ask her a lot of questions, and she went through the training very methodically. And so it made it very easy for us as the users to understand the system.